Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Telegram, Twitch, and the Prepper Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim, and today is November 5th, 2022, and this is episode 198 of the Workshop Podcast. And today, guys, I've got an episode that was pre-recorded about 2 weeks ago when I was on the Wednesday Live with Nicole and John Willis. We'll get to that in a minute. Real quick, let's knock out the announcements for you. Patch of the Month Club, guys. Just got the third patch in the mail, and I think it's rather hilarious. Maybe I shouldn't pat myself on the back, but if you want to get signed up, I had somebody sign up the other day and they said, "Hey, Tim, I'd like to have all three of the patches that have shown that you have released already." I said, no problem. So we just took 3 months off the year subscription and I'm shipping out all three. For right now, I still have some stock of the original patches. So if you're looking to sign up, go to patchofthemonth.co, $10 a month, $100 a year. We do PayPal, we do crypto, I'll do barter, silver. We'll make it work. Number 2, I get asked all the time, Tim, what do you recommend for this? What do you recommend for that? Well, I don't mention it often enough, and I really should, but if you go to toolmantim.shop, there's well over 200 products that have met the Toolman Tim seal of approval. Ton of stuff over there in all kinds of categories, from home protection to preparedness to backup power and everything in between. Oh, and of course, some DeWalt tools. So if you're wondering, has Tim ever tried this or does he recommend something? Try there, guys. And of course, there's Amazon links, and you know what you can do with the Amazon links. They always support the workshop. And number 3, we've had a few new members in the Telegram group lately, but I love the community over there, guys. So if you really want to become part of this community, you want to interact, and you want to, share what you're having for supper. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you can if you want, but share funny memes, ask questions. This morning there was somebody with a grain mill that was busted and sharing, ideas and bouncing things back and forth. That's the place to go. And if you're thinking, Tim, I don't want to become another part of another social media platform. Well, to be honest, I'm getting to the point where Telegram is about all I really enjoy going on. So give it a shot, guys. See what you think. And finally, today's tool is the Powerex 8 battery charger. I've been using that for about 3 years now. It has been recommended in prepper circles for a long time. It'll do any combination of 1 through 8 AA's or AAA batteries. We'll charge them in under an hour or about an hour. The thing is a beast. It's like $44 on Amazon. So I got the link in the description below. Okay, guys. Well, next thing, if you can't get motivated after listening to this episode with John, Nicole, and I, all I can tell you is after I get off the horn with these guys, I have a list of to-do things, and I had a big thing that I was ready to do, and I knocked it out of the park right after I had this conversation. So if you're not motivated after listening to this, check your heartbeat. And with that, let's go into our conversation from a couple of weeks ago.
Welcome to the Wednesday Live, everybody. We're excited to see you today, and it's going to be a fun conversation because I feel like these guys are, old friends of mine at this point. We've got John Willis from Special Operations Equipment, which if you're on his channel listening to this, you already knew that. And then Toolman Tim.
Howdy.
Toolmantim.co. You do all sorts of cool live streamy stuff, don't you?
I do. Three times a week at the moment. I don't imagine I don't know. Maybe I'll go 5 days a week. The podcast will definitely be 5 days a week eventually. There's no getting around it. It just keeps growing. So
yeah, I just made 5 days a week right before Self-Reliance Festival, and then the week of Self-Reliance Festival did not do 5, and I'm up to 5 again. So
it's all right.
I probably could have made this change a year ago, so I can help you with ideas if you need them.
I appreciate it, and I don't know if you guys are like me, but my biggest problem is just too many concepts, too many ideas that I want to get out and share. So I'm like, I gotta add another day. So now when I do long drives, which I do all the time, I'm just recording a 45-minute episode and putting that up, and it's working because why not use your time, right?
Exactly. So John, what's been on your mind lately?
Oh, I don't even know. We recorded a 3-hour podcast yesterday.
Nice.
With actual microphones and actual podcast stuff. We've got the podcast stuff set up in the other building now. Just ordered, what did we order? Preamps for the microphones. Just ordered actual microphone arms so you don't hear the banging off the table and stuff. It isolates it. And then we shot several short form videos yesterday, just content stuff for product. Other than that, just all the same. I mean, everything is cold here. Like, it was 30 degrees. I turned hoses on this morning and ice cubes shot out of the hoses. So I guess it's time. Like, we'll leave the hoses attached. We'll just drag them all downhill. But it seems like I feel like it's colder earlier this year than it was last year.
It's
I was
2 weeks
ask
early.
You guys that. Yeah.
It's based on my garden journal. This has happened one other time in 15 years that I've been here, but it's 2 weeks early. The outdoor shower thing should come inside too, John.
We'll do it.
I meant to text you last night. I was thinking about that.
Yep. I'll make sure that gets handled.
Yeah. So same thing here. It's just been, I did my last harvest a week ago when we had our first freeze, and then that freeze happened and not everything that was left out there got decimated. So I got to do a second last harvest this week. So my kitchen counter is nothing but green tomatoes and squash right now and peppers from that.
Will those ripen? Will they ripen up?
Yeah, the green tomatoes ripen on my counter. Probably 75% of them will. And then I'll grab the ones that look like they won't, do fried green tomatoes or throw them in a saute and use them up. Other people make pickled tomatoes out of those green tomatoes, but I like them in a saute. So, and I don't have that many. Like, somebody showed me 2 bushels of green tomatoes. If I had 2 bushels of green tomatoes, I would make a different decision.
Brown paper bags. I did that for years. We used, out east, we had to, when season was coming, frost was coming, you had to pick everything. So I would just line my counters with brown paper bags, and they would ripen quite nice in there. Usually. So
Tim, I understand you and I are in competition with each other.
Yeah, I know.
Did you see that?
I did.
I'm going to show the audience. I don't know if John has seen this yet.
I have not.
So top 50 podcasts on Fountain FM. I'm 48 and he's 49 right now. So we made the top 50 list.
Yes, we did.
That's cool.
Yeah. And yes, I put a big meme out celebrating that. And somebody's like, well, look who's right behind you, Nicole. But look at number 1 here.
Yeah.
Jack just booted Tim Curry. Is it not Tim Curry? Adam Curry.
Oh, Tim Curry was.
Let's do the time warp again. Okay. Anyway, Adam Curry, not Tim Curry.
He was also Pennywise, right?
So how do you push more of your traffic to Fountain? Are you going to get to a point where you stop uploading to other platforms so it has to go to Fountain, or what's your thoughts on that?
I don't. I have talked about it on the podcast a few times. I wasn't actually trying to get in the top 50, but I started right after Self-Reliance Festival being more purposeful about every episode or 2 making clips, just to highlight things, which then people listen to that and then they listen to your whole podcast. So I think that's what did it. It just kind of and then it's based on how many tips you get, basically, is how they make this determination. So it's supported by the Value for Value network. So
you take those clips. Once you have the clips, you can post those clips on other social media platforms, correct? Mm-hmm. And then when they when they click on it, it takes them to Fountain.
I don't know.
I don't know about that, but the system they have built in, to turn into clips is so slick. You ever see those, those 60-second podcast clips that have like the visual representation of the audio playing? They automatically do that for you. You just hit a button and then you can share it. I know it says Fountain on it. I just don't know if it has a link back to it.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I don't think unless I put the link, like if I post it on TikTok, I have to link back to Fountain for it to drive people to Fountain. In Fountain, though, it'll highlight clips and people will search through those to see if they want a new podcast. And then there you can click to hear the whole episode if you liked the clip.
And it's beneficial to both sides to use Fountain, right? Because the listener actually gets some kind of financial also.
A little bit. They've changed it a bit, which I think if they were honest with themselves. They probably should have done it the way they're doing it now when they started. Not a huge deal, but when they first started, it was just every minute you listened, you got so many Satoshis. And now it's more of a kind of a gamify thing where they kind of randomly pick how many you're going to get and they reward you a little bit, because what they were doing was, I think they were exhausting their, whatever their upfront supply was, which is, I wish they'd have done that from the beginning. Not a huge deal, but yes. And the good thing is the users will tip me or Nicole or whomever in sats, and then I can respond to comments there and tip them with sats as well, which I love. That's what I found so far is the best way to interact right off a podcast.
Cool.
Yeah, I think as a podcast content creator, using Fountain is fantastic because people give you a boost and they say, hey, I really like this episode on forgiveness. It was like the perfect day for me because I was having a hard day. And then I can respond and say, I'm really glad you told me that. And thank you. And it's like a more direct connection with listeners. I mean, we get, like right now, we have comments in the live feed, and that's a connection too. But it's kind of like the old days when people used to put comments on your website and you would respond to them. People have stopped doing that. In Fountain, that culture is there. And then okay, this kind of topic is resonating with the people who listen to me. So I'll do more like that. So, and I do like that. Are you producing your podcast as an audio podcast, John?
We're about to. We have pod seed and all that stuff. We did 126, and basically what we would do is we would put it up on YouTube as well as all the podcast propagation, so it would go up audio. But we would read the comments from the day before, and that would become the podcast for the following podcast. And we did that for years. That was the breakfast videos. And then we did Pulling the Thread. We put up our first new episode of Pulling the Thread last week. And we just recorded 3 hours yesterday. Okay.
So I wonder if you're on there already.
If it's going out to the podcatchers already, it should be.
I don't think these two have.
Okay.
Yeah, if you are going through Apple iTunes, you'll end up in Fountain automatically, and then you just need to claim it. I can show you guys how to do that. And then for a show like this, for example, when somebody tips this show, I can say this percentage of the tip goes to Tim, this percentage of the tip goes to John. Cool. And so I've done that with Jack on these shows, and then it's kind of like everybody gets a little something for the effort they've done. Cool. And it's so easy to, like, from a user interface, super easy to set up, so I don't have to do any coding or anything.
Yeah, that sounds like Affiliately. There's an app you just plug in for affiliate links, and it divides up the percentages automatically.
Yeah, I love that. I love not having to do the accounting.
So, how many sats at this point? Like, how many sats is $1?
5,000.
Yeah, okay. I've got
500, something like that. It's a 5.
In my account right now is like 30,000, and it's worth about $6. I've offloaded some, so it's not, what is 100 million sats to 1 Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin's around 25 right now or something. Like somebody's out there screaming, "You're wrong," but yeah.
Is it 25? I keep looking at my account; it's pretty low right now.
Closer to 20.
Yeah,
it was 19 something. I always look in the morning to see if it's on sale, and it's at 19. I'm waiting for it to drop to 13 personally.
You think it's going to hit 13?
It might. If it does, I'm going to be like, yes.
So if it hit 13 right now, what would you dump in there? Would you put it like 10 grand, 1 grand? What
5 to 6 probably.
Really?
Yeah.
So Scully is super old school anti crypto, right? They're just going to turn it off. The government's going to start their thing, and they're going to attack all the other cryptocurrencies. And I'm like, are you saying you don't have any Bitcoin? He's like, absolutely, I have no Bitcoin. I go, can I give you some Bitcoin? And he's like, no. So he'll come around. I'm just going to make an account and just fucking give it to him. Here's your Bitcoin.
Hey guys, Tag is in the house.
Awesome. What's up?
Okay, nice. Hi, Tag.
Yep.
I've been my Patch of the Month club. I've been having people reach out. I should have been more intentional about this, but they want to pay in Bitcoin or Lightning. So it's been adding to my Bitcoin a fair bit so far, which is great, because if the price is low right now and it goes up in a while, which we expect it to. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love getting paid in Bitcoin and paying in Bitcoin. I have friends who do work for me here, and I'll say, okay, what do I owe you? And they're like, well, you paying cash or you paying Bitcoin? I'm like, I'm paying whatever you want, man.
Right.
And a lot of them will give me a deal on the Bitcoin because they know eventually it's likely to change from 5,000 sats per dollar. It's 5,200 sats per dollar, guys, right now. So I was close.
Amanda said Jack paid her in Bitcoin off the Lightning. And I said, that's cool. Did you have Lightning? She's like, no, he set it up. It took like in a minute. It was all done.
It took a second.
And he had 20 people standing there. So he gave a class on how to do it.
Yeah. I like to show people that because it is so much easier than it used to be. In fact, I am in the initial phases right now for Hollow Roast Coffee of running my own Lightning node and seeing about doing payment processing through that Lightning node for as much as I can. Ooh. Because then I'm not dependent on Stripe or PayPal to decide what I can't say online long term. And I'll let you guys know how that works out. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I can rent the node space somewhere else so it's not running off my internet, right? And then set it up. And the only thing I don't know how to do is haven't really figured out is how I do the balancing of how much, because you have to put up capital on both sides, receiving and sending. You have to cover that nut as well to be able to do the transaction. So
that makes it. So you're basically guaranteeing whatever.
Yeah, but if I can stake $5,000 or $10,000 somehow, I don't mind that it's staked. It's that I just need to make sure that the superhighway works, and then if I don't need Stripe anymore, I'm out on Stripe.
So Dan Bongino has some payment gate now. Also, I think it's called like Freedom Pay or something. Yeah, it's supposed to be like the top edge of freedom for that stuff. I think Square was also pretty good. I think Square is pretty good from what they said. Dan Bongino's got that, and then Gab has Gab Pay also.
Yeah,
which people speak pretty highly of.
Anybody using Gab? Do you, John or Nicole?
So I think I have a Gab account. I couldn't even tell you if I'm on Gab. I know, didn't they killed it, right?
That was Parler, wasn't it?
Parler was the one.
Was it Parler?
It was Parler.
I don't know if I am or not.
I just wonder every so often if there's other social platforms that I should be on because
I'm glad you asked, Tim.
Oh, Nicole, why don't you share?
Have you checked out freesteading.com?
Oh, I have not.
Oh, I will send you an invite link.
Nope.
Okay, so Tag, who is here, right?
Yeah.
From Lifetime Free, is tired of censorship. And he and a group of folks have put together freesteading.com, which is a lot of homesteaders and other freedom-oriented people and preppers. So it kind of self-selects in our network already, but it's free speech based. So their whole thing is we're not going to tell you what to say. I mean, if you are abusing somebody verbally, they may tell you what to say.
Oh, but that's the fun of.
But I've been totally checking it out for a while, and just this week I launched my Living Free in Tennessee community there, and I really like the platform. It's kind of like Facebook used to be before Facebook got annoying. So you see the things that people say.
I need to, for the record, Tag, I need to reach out to you. Everybody keeps talking about you, and I haven't made connection with you yet, and don't even completely know who he is, which is awful. You guys talk about him so highly. So,
well, he was at Self-Reliance Festival.
I know, but we all were, you know how the time goes at events like that.
So check out his YouTube page, Life Done Free.
Okay.
Check that out. Get that on your radar, and then just play some of his videos this afternoon. You'll like them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The last person you sent me was Ed from Iridium. So
yeah, you should know Ed. Yeah,
he's fucking awesome. Yeah, he's cool dude.
Really I know Ed in real life.
Very cool. So Travis wants to know if Pulling the Thread is going back on iTunes, John.
So yeah, it will eventually.
Yeah. When it gets done.
Yeah, that's really when the button gets clicked whenever I recover the password is most likely what the issue is.
Crap. Yeah. That's always the fun of those things.
That's always, I mean, that I'm gonna eventually it's gonna catch up someplace, and I'm gonna be the dude at the dump looking for the hard drive. I've lost the password or whatever. So that's always what happens.
Yep. Yeah.
And then when I'm posting video clips, I'm not usually taking YouTube clips and posting the URL anymore. I'm posting Rumble clips, so it's driving a little bit of traffic, just so there's more eyeballs there if we have to use it at some point.
Yeah. Hey, I can introduce you to you and tag.
Thank you. Yeah. For the record, John, I was going to say with Fountain, that's what I've been doing. So for a long time, I'd always look at my stats for my podcast, and the biggest portion of the audience was from Apple Podcasts. And so I would always share that link because it was the most common platform or the most eyeballs. So I've been doing that intentionally with Fountain over the last couple of months, and that's helped quite a bit too. So I just share the Fountain link out on social now. And between that and I'm also doing promoted shows. So you'd take like $50 and they turn that into $40 worth of Satoshis. And then you can do, say, 500 Satoshis for listening to an episode. So it rewards people, and it has grown, sustained growth for me for sure.
Can you tip your listeners back? For instance, best comment?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Cool.
One thing they just removed though was if somebody just sends you sats without a comment, you can't tip that back. They're encouraging people to actually interact, which I was a little against at first, but I've come around on it. And now, as long as they write something, you can respond and tip back.
Cool.
Yeah. In fact, you have to tip back to respond.
That's correct. Yeah.
And what that does is it keeps you from having spam problems because the spammers have to pay to comment to you. You have to pay to comment back. And the profit margin's not there when you can't send 1 million comments out automatically for free. Yeah. So that is all of those things. It's kind of fun to be alive right now because we've had sort of this standard of how the economy works, how we interact with each other. And in my lifetime, I watched the internet be born and come to fruition and then come to a point where it goes from really cool to the advertisers who are ruining it, right? Yeah. And then the spammers who are advertisers are ruining it. And now we have this whole new ecosystem coming with the value for value exchange where it's a tipping economy. We have cryptocurrencies coming into play. We have we don't know what's next, but the way we communicate is about to change dramatically. It's already changing. And I think a lot of people get stressed out by this. I think it's kind of exciting to see. It's like, okay, what's next? What am I, what do I need to learn? Because we've got to change how we interact and we can. And it always seems like there's this tension between the advertisers take over and people who just want to talk to each other. And then the advertisers take over and then the people who want to talk to each other.
I love being on the bleeding edge of things, like as far as when technology, when new platforms come out, because it doesn't take a huge investment in time to be involved on them, because if you're already creating content, it's just adding one more platform to drop your stuff on. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, drop it after a few months. And if you pick up 3 people on that new platform that are, one of your 1,000 true fans, well, they're going to follow you somewhere else if that platform falls apart. So, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't posted anything on True Social probably in over a month, but I get notifications every day of comments and new followers on True Social. So, it's obviously working. People are finding me, and I'm not even telling people that I'm on True Social really, but they find it there somehow.
Rumble's that way with me. I would love to multi-stream there, but they made it a little more difficult than I want to do at this point because the return for the extra few clicks isn't worth it. But the fact that they automatically mirror all of my stuff from YouTube without any trouble at all is great. And I pick up 1 or 2 subscribers every day there, and I zero promotion to Rumble.
Every time I do a live stream, I get something on my to-do list. Thanks, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the Rumble thing though, Nicole, is literally just a click of a button. It's so simple.
Yeah.
But the thing that appeals to with Rumble is like Dan Bongino, for instance, Alex Jones. They've canceled these huge names, right? And let's say Bongino had 1 million followers on YouTube. Within 30 days, he had 4 million followers on Rumble. So, how suppressed was YouTube when people were actively looking for him and now have to go to a completely different, platform to find him. And he's quadrupled his numbers in a 30-day period. So, and that's not the case for our channels, but it obviously works.
Yeah.
And to have a foot in the door now, in case something really bad does happen, you're already established there, and you can just say, hey, slide over. That's why we collect email addresses too for everybody out there, so that we can connect if something happens.
So Austin asked, you said on the top 50 list, getting on the top 50 list is based on tips. Is the amount of money, is that the amount of money or the amount of people tipping, or both?
I think it's the amount of money, but I don't know for sure.
I'm thinking so, because Jack had 1.2, a single tip of 1.2 million Satoshis the other day.
Not bad.
That came through. I seen that somewhere, and then somebody mentioned it. And so
What's
I think that's
dollars?
part of it. What's that?
What's
Dollars?
that
Is that like $1,000?
Oh,
Nice.
divided by 5,000.
No, I think, anyway, you figure it out, because I'm probably wrong there.
Your Canadian calculator.
I am.
I'm going to use the one on my phone. 1.2 million, huh?
Yes.
Divided by 5,000 ish. $240.
There you go.
So it may have been $200 at the time. It may have been $250 at the time. So
I go over almost every night and super chat somebody that I like. And it's developed that's like Black Scout Survival that we talked about, Nicole.
Yeah. Who just texted.
He's mentioned us. He's mentioned us in the past.
Yeah.
I know that we took some classes from James. He did a really awesome video when James passed. So I just threw out a super chat on a couple things, and he got right back to me. Like I don't know if he was driving or what, but 1:00 in the morning he got back to me and we talked for about an hour. It just works. Like it gets people's attention for sure.
Yeah.
I gotta say, as far like I didn't know James, but I just went to tactical response. Holy shit! Like,
yeah,
it didn't completely change my life, but I'd say it changed my life 1%. And if people have never done something like, I went there thinking I was going to learn how to shoot. I went there and learned how to survive a fight and to make sure that the person you're looking at is on the ground when you're done.
Yeah, it's gunfighting, not gun shooting.
Yeah, I'm going back for sure. Like I still get chills when I talk about it. I got Kayla coming on the show here in a little while because,
you could take the second day, just the lecture, and sit through the lecture, and it's a mindset change, right? It's a life change. It's going to literally change how you carry yourself from there forward.
100%.
No rounds at all, with no bullets fired at all. You could just do that Sunday lecture.
That was it was James recorded. It was him recorded when he was talking. And the stuff in there, I don't know what it is when he said it or when the lecture came through, it just clicks and it just changes. It's that warrior mindset. Just, I don't know. I think maybe just the day-to-day life of the world we're living in beats it out of you or just doesn't encourage it. But when you hear it and you see it, oh man, it was powerful.
Yeah. And I think you need it more now than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Just the current environment this year, as opposed to, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. I got together with some friends last night for dinner, went out to eat. Trisha was one of them. And in the parking lot, we're like doing this milk for coffee drug deal basically going on. And so this year I committed to carrying my gun rather than just having my gun, because if I ever need it and it's not on me, that's not super helpful if it's not on me. Right. And so I always talk with her about like the awkwardness of all the holsters. And I actually have one I like now that Amanda recommended for me. And I was like, this is so much better. And she said, have you seen the crime rates have gone way up in Cookeville, Tennessee? And I was like, yeah, that's one of the reasons that I've made that change where it's going to be with me as opposed to just near me, or I left it at home. Because I left it at home is not where I want to be mentally if there's ever a problem.
If you look at your local sheriff's department, they always publish unsolved crimes, crime rates, and when you look at that, that's your. I think I heard that from Bear. I think that's where I got that from. Your immediate signifier of what is happening in your community, and you see, especially like unsolved petty crimes, just stuff stolen off the porches and things. Those numbers jump drastically, and along with that comes other real crime. But it always leads into the next.
Yeah.
So where's your gun right now?
It's right over there. It's actually next to me.
You can put it right here.
I know I can. It is kind of uncomfortable for me to sit in this chair with it on, but
you need a toilet holster.
I need this.
Bolt it on the wall so you can take it when you're on the toilet and stick it there. And you need one of those.
No, I took this one from Amanda too. There's just a basket on the back of the toilet.
So where's your rifle?
It's right over there too.
We should be in the corner right there.
No, it's in that corner over there by my bed.
Yeah, but you're not in that corner.
I got so much to learn. Okay. Bomba Dad says 2 best things that happened to me during my battle with cancer: fighting pistol at tactical response and meeting John at SOE. I beat cancer and met 2 great men.
Who is Bama Dad? Who are you, Bama Dad?
That's what I was
Bama Dad. Yeah, sorry, Bomba Dad. Bama Dad. Nicole needs a shoulder holster. Nicole does actually need a shoulder holster because when I do run, actually the waist carry is super uncomfortable running.
Jeremy,
like, from exercise. Shoulder holsters on my list.
Should we get her like a tanker holster, or should we go with like the Miami Vice, Jeremy? Which one? What should we do?
I don't know. You guys let me know. I can tell you this. The girdle holster is not my favorite, but it will carry any gun. It's like this Velcro thing that you put around your waist, right? Most uncomfortable thing in this world, but it conceals really well in some tighter clothes. So sometimes I'm wearing that. What I've learned is you wear clothes under, put the stupid thing on, and then wear clothes over.
Yeah, you have to have an extra shirt. Is that that's a belly band holster, right? It's
yeah,
like
the belly band. I call it the girdle holster because it gives me a nice defined waist, and
Yeah.
That thing. I actually got that idea from Kayla because that's what she was carrying in the class that we took. But I really like the Eclipse holster that Amanda recommended that clips to your pants, so that I can wear a belt or not wear a belt depending on what I'm wearing. Yeah. Yeah.
So that company seems to be very good.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we know dozens of people that are actually using those things, and they seem to be able to ship them like the next day, like whatever you order. Veteran owned, woman owned. I believe she was prior service Marine. Her family runs the business and still works within the business. And I know Amanda's just can't say enough good about them.
Yeah. No, and I agree. It's Eclipse. I'll put it in the comments and highlight it. Just because they are that good. I ordered mine maybe a week before Self-Reliance Festival. I had it by Self-Reliance Festival. I was shocked that it shipped that fast. I wasn't expecting. I was just like, I just need to get this done. And then we put their cards in the swag bags. Nice. And somebody who attended Self-Reliance Festival, I heard them. I was like, I finally found a holster I like. She's like, me too. And I said, did you get the Eclipse? Because I knew she'd gotten a swag bag. She's like, yes. And it turned out we had the exact same one. So
what did Trisha bring? Did Trisha have milk last night, or what was her part of the drug deal?
She had the milk. So we have a raw milk farmer who I'm actually hoping to get out to speak, or maybe on this show at some point. You'd really like him. He's speaking at Rogue Food Conference in December, and he has a dairy in Spencer, Tennessee. And I have a herd share, and I buy milk once a week, and they deliver to either Cookeville or Sparta because Trisha is in Sparta. She's getting milk from the same source, and she picks up my milk for me. And then I go see her, and then I owed her coffee. So it was just really funny because it totally looked like a drug deal, but it was literally coffee and milk.
What are you in for? Milk.
I've got raw milk in the parking lot of Fuji.
You joke, but it's possible.
Yeah, apparently it is. Hey, Tim. So,
yes,
what is the best way to store and maintain Milwaukee tool batteries?
Use them regularly. If you're going to store them, make sure they have a charge in them. The worst thing you can do is make sure if they're below half a charge, and there's a chance they can freeze, it can ruin them or really hurt them.
Is it okay for them to live on the chargers?
Yes, 100% now. I've talked to the company about that too, because I've had a lot of people reach out and say, hey, can I put them on the charger? I'd like to. And no, mine stay on at least my lawnmower batteries, because there's the 4 that I use the most, the big 10 amps. They're on 24/7 on the charger.
Which mower are you running?
It's the cordless. It's the walk. You have to push it. It's not a self-propelled. It's DeWalt. Yep. Okay. And it's really good. I mean, for the mowing I do, because, we had about a dozen, maybe 15 residential lawns that needed to be done every week. Now, they wouldn't be perfect or even that good for people who let their grass get a foot tall and wet. It's because it's a battery mower, right?
Yep,
but
and there's plastic in it.
Yeah, surprisingly, no. Well, okay, there is, but the whole deck is all metal. It's beautiful.
Right. But so I have the cobalt,
yes,
and the deck's all metal. But there's the part that holds the blade on, the spindle's plastic on that thing.
My God.
Yeah. So I would shoot 5 minutes on a GoPro or 20 minutes on a GoPro and just stick these things back in the charger. And we were frying batteries. Apparently you need to let the GoPro batteries run more down and then top them back off. They're building memory or something. I've got probably a dozen of them. And one of my guys looked into it and he's like, yeah, we got to start running them down all the way. Just let them empty out and then charge them back. So that's kind of been in my head the last couple of weeks. And I've meant to ask you the last few times we talked and I haven't.
Are those Nike? So I'm going to guess those are NiCad, are they?
I don't know the answer to that.
The only reason I say that is all the research I've done for lithium ion says that there is the memory's not an issue with lithium ion. You can charge.
No, because this says lithium ion on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, because any of the deep reading I've done said that you just basically get X amount of cycles with the battery, right? And that means from 0 to 100. So if you let it drop to 50, you're going to get twice the cycles. You let it drop to 25, you're going to get 4 times as much. But
cool.
In theory, lithium ion are supposed to be perfectly good to either go all the way to the bottom or top them up at 90%.
Awesome.
And they'll lose a little bit more. If they're fully charged, they'll lose a little bit more, a little quicker. But yeah, especially, I got cold weather on my mind now, of course, for everybody out there. But yeah, just keep them charged up in the winter if they're going to be in an unheated area.
So are you ready to switch your tools over to Red Tools yet?
No, but I will gladly start buying. Or do you mean the Bauer ones, or do you mean Milwaukee? Okay, because I came home with like $2,000 worth of Bauer stuff from Harbor Freight. So I brought the 3,500 watt inverter generator back with me and a whole bunch of cordless stuff because generators are, so let's put it out there. My tri-fuel generator that I bought, I think I'm going to say it was $800 or $900. I looked the other night and I've made over $2,500 in ad revenue just from the videos on that one.
Predator?
No, it's Furman tri-fuel.
Okay. So I'm not familiar with Furman. I don't think we have them around here.
Costco, they'll have them.
Okay.
Yep. Mine will run natural gas, propane, or gasoline, and it tops out at 9,200 watts. So it's a big beefy.
Should I not even mess with a Predator and just get a Furman?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
I just starting to test my Predator. I love the Predator so far. That thing is fucking quiet. You can stand. We could talk like this right next to it. Yeah, and so I think you could go with either. I'm going to do next time when I go down to Dallas this time, I'm probably going to come back with another Predator generator just because I didn't know how easy it was to bring stuff back across the border.
Now, is it super quiet because you have it in eco mode or is it quiet at full throttle normal use?
So I had a quarter load on it and it was still very quiet. I'll let you know for sure.
My Hondas are super quiet, but they're way quieter when you have them in the low throttle mode.
Mm.
57 decibels is what they say at a quarter load. And if anybody knows, 57 decibels is quiet.
It's pretty quiet.
My Furman, I've got a decibel meter tester that I use on it. I want to say it's in the 80s. So it's fairly loud. A lot of people complain about it, but for what it is, an open frame 9,000 watt generator, I don't mind the sound. I mean, I have a neighbor who lets his diesel run next door and it doesn't sound any louder than my generator, right?
So that's how we used to know when our power was actually out. Like, I'm not worried if everybody's power's out. I'm only worried if my power's out. A more costly issue usually. But I knew the power was truly out when the guy's Generac next door kicked on because you could hear it all the way 4 acres away. We could hear it through our house.
Years ago, that was always a concern for us when we didn't have a lot of money. If the power went out, we'd be like, oh, please let the neighbors be out too. Please let the neighbors be out too.
Which potentially could be a much worse problem, but then we're all on a level playing field, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. At least then I know I got a couple
IRS
more
is
weeks.
not knocking on your door at that point.
It's more about who's paying for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that you don't have to pay for the repair.
That's right. That's right.
I did bring a Bauer. Is that right? Yeah. Anyway, brought home a Home Depot. My God, I can't talk. Harbor Freight cordless vacuum cleaner, little 2.5 gallon one. It's
do you like that?
Square. Yeah, I just detailed my truck for the first time in way too long, and it really worked.
So
I have a badass little Milwaukee one I like. I do that too.
I know.
So speaking of Milwaukee, right? I got you that for your birthday.
Yep.
Those stink bugs are starting to show up right now.
Yeah.
And I did not know. Don't ever crush those things. When you crush them, releases pheromones, and you're going to have a ton. And that might be why we had such a crazy amount this last year. So we use those things to vacuum up wasps, vacuum up fruit flies, we vacuum up moths, we vacuum up the stink bugs. But we literally vacuum the entire shop of all of the thread load off the sew floor every day with one of those. We run that thing we literally run that thing. I'll bet we run it an hour a day, which is probably more than most of the normal customers would do. Those things are awesome. I've bought 3 of them so far.
I stole your idea. Well, I didn't steal it, but you were talking in my head a couple of weeks ago. So the stink bugs, are they the ones that have a little bit of red on them?
No,
they're
brown.
Well, anyway, we had these nasty red bugs, and a tenant called me and she said, I got bugs. And I went over and she had bugs. They were all these kind of red beetle type things all on the outside of the house. So I went over I have a handheld one as well from Harbor Freight, and I took that over and sucked the hell out of them, filled the whole thing full of them to get rid of them, and then sprayed, and they haven't come back. But just from you, John, that was a good idea.
It works really, really well. It really does. We got the that little Milwaukee hedge trimmer, also the little one, and that thing we cut down all of the fodder on the swales with that thing. That worked really well. Now, speaking of Milwaukee, we had a lady out here at the swale install class who has a huge channel, and she's sponsored by a bunch of lawn equipment companies. I don't know. She's steel. She does something with steel. She does something with a lawnmower company. I don't remember the name of it. But she said Milwaukee will never interact on social media.
Yeah, you're right.
Family-owned company. They are very much against any cuss words. So we're 100% out. I mean, that's on
fucking done.
And she said, DeWalt, though, will interact with you. And if you're going to have any kind of revenue share with them, they are the most likely company out of those power companies to do that with.
Harbor Freight, I took your advice on that too. I've been linking them whenever I put the videos up. They're always liking my stuff. They even liked a random reel I put on Instagram one day.
That is huge, man. If Harbor Freight pushes or shares one of yours, when my customers share my stuff, I always share it back because it's going to well, I don't always. If they have a bunch of other product in there and I've just got some little thing, we don't. But like when Ed shares my stuff, I always I push Ed's stuff because it's a two-way road. He could push anything. I mean, he could use anything he wants to. But it really does work, man. If Harbor Freight will take one of your reels and share that, that's just through the roof.
I'm literally the only Canadian who even has Harbor Freight gear. So it's a whole shtick, right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because we don't have it. So I'm going to keep pushing it. I think there's some room.
Maybe you should do another channel that's like the Canadian Harbor Freight guy. Like on Instagram, there's a dude, Pack Out King, and all he does is Milwaukee pack out stuff. That dude is awesome too. And then Jake of All is a YouTube channel, and his is all pack out stuff also.
I've seen him. Yep.
But they're not Canada guys. I mean,
it's a whole thing. Like because it's different. A lot of people you run into when I first started, companies would reach out and say, "Hey, I want to send you something to test. No strings attached." I'd say, "Well, you ship to Canada?" Nope, sorry. So I went and I got, for anybody who's out there listening, I may have shared this before. If you're a Canadian, there's Montana Mailbox. If you're on the like in the Alberta area, but they're all over, and they'll set up an American box. They'll pick it up and bring it to Edmonton for me. So now I have a Montana PO box, and when I get 4 or 5 packages, I have the company in Edmonton pick it up, and then
you realize I could ship you coffee to that.
Yes, you can now. Yes, I know. I didn't know that was a thing at one time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as soon as we annex Canada and take your reserves of maple syrup,
natural,
then you're just going to be able to cross the border at will as soon as we make it part of the United States.
Don't forget the whale blubber.
Yeah.
So apparently they have, like, we have national defense stocks of, fuel and stuff. Apparently Canada does. That's a real thing?
It is a real yeah, there's some truth to that. The strategic maple syrup reserve, yes.
And there was a 20 million gallon heist that has never been solved. Like, what does that look like? Does it go through a pipeline? How did they get it?
That was 100%. From what I understand, it was the mafia, because the mafia is involved in Quebec. And I don't know any more than that, other than it was a whole fucking tractor trailer load that just whoops.
Whoop. Hey,
Awesome.
We got a question here from Katie. Is the natural gas Generac as loud as the gas-fueled one?
Okay, so I will speak from experience, at least on the Furman. So it runs 3 different types of fuel. And if you'd asked me before I started, is the natural gas, when you're running on natural gas, is it quieter? I would have bet $1,000 it was. I tested all 3 fuels with my decibel meter at the same time, running the same load, and they were exactly the same noise. So now, separate generators, maybe not, but the fuel itself doesn't affect the noise that a single generator makes. I have a video on it too.
What does the fuel affect, Toolman?
The power output. Yep. So if you go from gasoline to natural gas, you lose about 30% of your power. Propane's halfway in between, so 15 to 20% you'll lose.
But the beauty is most people already have a barbecue tank. Hopefully they have 50 or 60 of them. That would be ideal.
Like John Willis.
Propane never goes bad.
Yeah.
And it is just so convenient, and you can move it around without it sloshing around in the car or whatever in a special container, It's like the battery powered. Scully and I were talking on podcast yesterday about the battery powered saws, and they're awesome. And his ran for 3 days with no maintenance at all. But when you actually get a real gas saw in your hand, they're not because Jeff just got a gas saw. He's got some real trees now that he's cutting on. And he's like, it's not a replacement. But where it shines, man, is for 70, 80%. If not if you're Chris Watkins, like all he does is chainsaw.
Right.
He does a lot of other things. But for 90% of what I would do, the battery power saw is beautiful. It's also beautiful during storms. You keep it in all of the SUVs, any vehicle you jump in, and you have a saw that doesn't have fuel all in the cargo compartment.
Speaking of saws, Josie wants to know what your favorite chainsaw is. Gas, battery, or electric models for all-purpose homestead use.
Can we only have one? Are we only having one?
I really want 2.
Yeah.
I will give you 2.
I'm going to go with, just because it's so readily available. I think I'm switching all my stuff over to steel.
I use that a lot for years.
Husqvarna, 450, 455, 465, the Rancher. It's a consumer saw. When you can go from a $500 saw to $1,000 saw, it's a whole nother animal. When you go into a prosumer or an actual work saw, different animal. They're heavier too, typically, but you can get them in fuel injected, so we don't have the carburetor issues. It's just money. But if you're going to only have one, I would want a gas saw. But if I could have 2, I would have that. Or maybe what I would tell you, depending on what you're cutting. Are you a homeowner or you have property, right? If you're a homeowner and you've got to cut some limbs and stuff every now and then, get that electric saw. If it does everything you need, then perfect. And then if you need a bigger saw, chances are somebody that would come over and help you, or you could borrow a saw, or you could always go buy one at that point.
Or rent one. Rental places. If you only, if I were still cutting 12 cord of wood a year, junking, splitting, and burning it every year, of course, I would have my still gas. I still have it. But here's the thing, for 95% of homeowners, a chainsaw sits 11 and a half months of the year. And what fucking happens is, no matter how much care you try to take with it, when you go to start that damn thing, you're going to have a bad case of tennis elbow because it's not going to want to start. You know what's beautiful about a battery powered one? I can let it sit for 6 goddamn years, pull the trigger, and if there's a fresh battery in there, it starts every time.
Yeah, I will say my perspective on my homestead is the chainsaw I have and the pole saw I have are both battery operated. I don't know that the brand matters. What mattered to me is the self-sharpening blade.
Oh.
So I also don't have to deal with that.
Yep.
And that every time I have something that's bigger than the job of that saw, I'm usually paying somebody else to deal with it.
What saw do you have, Nicole?
I have a Ryobi.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
because I committed to the Ryobi 40 volt for yard work, and that was the battery set I had.
Yeah, Scully had the DeWalt. It was just the 40 volt back then, but it had that built-in sharpener in that thing. Now
Yeah,
they
that
don't have
built-in
them
sharpener is key.
Yeah, they don't have them on the 60 volts, and the new ones don't have them. But man, he would just run that chain, and it would sharpen it. And me, I don't ever sharpen a chain. Me sharpening a chain is we put a new chain on. I when I show up, I've got like a buddy of mine came and picked up 2 5-gallon buckets. He's like, let me take these and just sharpen these for you.
So I've got about 4 years ago, I got really frustrated with my steel gas powered chainsaw, because even in my business, we wouldn't use it maybe 3 months of the year at the most. And it was getting to the point where it would work when it would start cold, and then when it would get hot, it wouldn't work. And I was getting so mad. So I just went home and bought the brand new 60 volt DeWalt chainsaw. Now for me, working in a town, doing shrubbery, it's perfect. Now I did run into this summer, we were cleaning up a property for the town, and there was a tree that was probably 16, 18 inches in diameter. That DeWalt wouldn't touch it, because it works on speed, not so much as torque, is that the right term for or power, It just didn't want to get through it. I was chewing up batteries like crazy. So that's the only time in 3 or 4 years that I've had the 60 volt DeWalt chainsaw that it didn't, live up to its expectations.
I did want to point this comment out from Life Done Free. Be advised, Generac voids the warranty if you're hooking off an off-grid application.
Yes,
why do you think that is, Tag? Why are they? What do you think that's all about?
People probably use it more.
Off. Oh yeah, duh. Okay.
But
so it's not a backup anymore,
right?
Yeah, I get you.
I suppose. But I mean,
and I think I've heard that when somebody used that brand on a work site, that they wouldn't, because it was not. I don't know.
A lot of places will shorten. So Furman, for instance, I want to say they have a 1 or a 2 year warranty for home use. If it's commercial, it's a 90-day warranty. So they shorten it quite a bit if they know you're using it for commercial. I just wish it was run hours, but then if they did that, mine would probably be good for decades. Yeah, no, this one would be good.
Do you buy extended warranties on your tools, Tim?
No,
I don't either. I never do, because I never have them. I don't use them.
The only reason they offer them to you is because they make money off them.
A lot of money.
Yes.
Walmart's like, do you want to buy the extended warranty on this DVD? Who's watching?
When we used to buy extended warranties, I hate to say this, is when we didn't have a lot of money, and which makes sense, right? Because you think, I'm going to protect the investment, but it ends up costing you more because you're just spending a little extra on something. So
that's a good point. Imagine the money that Costco or one of those places takes in on the upsell on that extra warranty.
And you usually have a year to buy it. So if your thing punks out at 11 months, you can buy it and not have to deal with the manufacturer's warranty. Or if it breaks and gets repaired, then it's probably going to break again. So you can actually make that decision later.
The Dixon way. Once you move from a 49cc saw to an 80cc saw, you'll never go back. Man, I don't know what my saw is. I've got a big 529 or something. Husqvarna. I don't know how many cc's that is, but an 80cc saw sounds. I know what an 80cc dirt bike motor looks like, and it just seems enormous. We used to go to. We had a year passes for SeaWorld, and we'd go to SeaWorld, and they had a lumberjack show, Lumberjack and Jill, and they would run these hot saws they're literally these big like dirt bike motors with a expansion chamber. But that was super cool to see not even the saws, but to see that show, how fast they could go up those poles and cut that stuff. And I know that's not the real lumber or wood that's in the wild. That's some, soft pine or whatever. But it was always super cool to see those shows.
They always had in my hometown every year for Scallop Days. They'd always have lumberjack games or whatever every year, and I loved it. It was always fun. I loved them souped up saws, and yeah, they're pretty cool.
Scallop Days.
Yeah,
wait, let's back up.
No, hold on. Here's the deal.
What is Scallop Days exactly?
That is the cheesy local So yes, you know what you guys would call
scallop, like scallop?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
So I'm from the world capital of scallop.
Like the food.
Yes, and we always pronounce them scallops there. So it will be
fair.
You don't call somebody on the phone.
So you're right on the water.
Where I grew up
for
the first 30 years. I'm on the prairies now, like Montana, North Dakota type area.
Got it. I see your comment, Chris. Right on. Man, you guys are going to make me go get some chainsaws. We have a friend, Matt Christopher, who's on my live feeds all the time, and he's got to have 100 Husqvarna saws. Like, the man buys a Christmas tree that like you would expect to see on Court Square, and he brings it home to his living room and cuts a third of the tree off with his saw in the house every year. I've seen him do this, and then he puts this tree up that fills half the room. And I don't know, he's got enough tree left for probably 2 more houses. I don't know what he does. He loves some Husqvarna saws. I wish he could just stop doing whatever he does for work and just figure out how to just do saws, because he just loves them so much.
I bet he could.
He probably could. It's
doable.
Okay, Tim, I want to bring something up with you.
Yes,
freezer probes.
Yes.
So I finally, because people always ask me, do you recommend one? And I never had one I recommended. I got the Yo-Link speaker hub and the temperature and humidity sensors. And I got it because I was on this trip to Maine and my buddy Brett's driving, and his Apple Watch keeps telling him every time one of his restaurant freezers or fridges is changing temperature. And he was calling saying, hey, you guys left the door open before it gets out of range, right? And I'm like, what? Which one is that? It's the Yo-Link. Oh. And you can set it up and you set your own temperature ranges. So at 25 degrees, if my freezer gets to 25, I can get a text message, an email, or a notification on my phone wherever I am. And what?
$32?
It's $69.99 for 2 probes plus the hub. Yep. So yeah. And I, unfortunately, I don't have a package with 9 sensors, which is basically what I need. But I've been testing this thing for a month now. It's awesome.
So I originally started with the old Stephen Harris recommended ones, those battery powered.
Yeah.
And they basically couldn't go through a wall. They were my house. They didn't.
That's what I had.
Yeah. So about 3 years ago, I picked up the Go V temperature and humidity alarms. They're great. I love them. They specifically say not for below freezing temperatures. Yeah. They have worked beautifully for 3 years for me. But they have a setting in them that they will not fix, that when it gets below, I want to say it's 20 degrees Celsius, which is just a little warmer than most freezers actually are, they'll constantly alert you.
Yeah.
But they're Bluetooth and they're Wi-Fi, which I love. And I bet you I've sold 100 of them through my Amazon affiliates. But that's the biggest. Yeah, I want to try. I'm going to get some of these and try them because.
So it puts an app on your phone. Is that what it does?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And so here's the two things that people tell me they don't like is if your internet goes out, it's not going to get the notice out to you.
Right.
That's one. 2 is if your power goes out, it won't get the notice out to you. And my thing is nothing will get the notice out to me if my power goes out. Well, unless my power company notifies me the power's out. If I'm not home, I don't know it. If I am home and my power's out, I'm already thinking about what's up with my freezers and how hot is it outside.
Yeah, we have bigger problems. Like I haven't had a freezer melt down. Like it melts down. That's when I know my freezer's no good when I start smelling it, right?
Right. That's a problem.
And I've had that happen 3 times. And it's never because the power went out. So those things would work great for me.
Yeah, that would be great for you. And it's super easy to set up.
I got to try. I'm excited. I'm always looking for new gadgets to test. So
yeah.
And for, like you said, to be honest, the power outage thing isn't the biggest deal. It's a freezer dying or somebody tripping over the plug, or for me, sometimes one of my kids leaving the freezer door wide open.
That's the issue. Or it opens an inch. That has happened to me twice this year with one of my freezers. I now lock it. Okay. Like, how they have the locks on them? I'm like, why would you need that? I'm like, now I know why.
Yep.
It's not to keep people from stealing my food. It's to keep the stupid door from just opening.
I've got a brand new freezer sitting right there in the crate still. And we went with upright verticals, the biggest ones we could get. I mean, they're taller than I am. And it's just so simple to organize. I know everybody loves these chest freezers, but man, working in and out of them. And I mean, we've got huge commercial freezers. Like I think we're to the point right now where we don't have any functioning chest freezers. We've moved everything to vertical freezers. And the next move is just to put in, I think we're going to put in a really big walk-in that we can, so we can push, so we can deliver from the outside and then walk through the cooler into the kitchen on the inside.
Yeah, that'll be great. We're looking at that here too. A chest freezer outside my outside kitchen, so that when I do processing and all of that, it's just all there.
Yep.
And done. Because I started pricing it out, and finding the materials to insulate it the way it needs to be insulated is going to cost some money, but the cost of building one of those isn't as bad as you would think. It's just not.
Are you talking about a walk-in freezer?
Yeah, the walk-in freezer or walk-in fridge.
Because you can even buy, like, the panels come in a pre-selected size, right?
Yeah.
You can run one, and one, make it square. You can make it rectangle. You just add your insulated panels. Hopefully, you've got some kind of floor, concrete floor, and you can insulate that and then raise it. And then you just run a cool bot on those things. Like you run the cool bot with or even a mini split at this point you could do, and then run the cool bot to control the mini split so it goes deep enough. But super easy to do. I mean, Tad's been doing.
That's who I talked to.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Yeah. I was like, what do I do? Because CoolBot will not work for a freezer. It's a fridge. It won't go below freezing.
Not work for a freezer.
It will not go below freezing. And he's like, oh no, for a freezer, you have to talk to me about what compressors and what coils to buy, and I'll hook you up.
Okay.
So, and it's that he determines by the size of your freezer. But
he'd be the guy.
He is the guy. That's why I reached out to him. It's like, you're the guy, right? He's like, I am the guy. As long as I'm not making him do the work.
While we are discussing Tad on here,
yes.
If anybody wants a commercial aquaponics system that is up and running, you can go tour it right now. It's here in Camden. Tad is moving houses, and he has, I don't even know how big it is. I mean, it is enormous. If anybody's interested in the information, hit me up or Nicole. I'm sure she can get it too. And we'll put you in touch with him, and you can, he has a video on YouTube and everything about it. If somebody wants to grow super high dollar lettuce or weed or whatever it is you're into.
If you're growing weed, just don't say it, it's in Tennessee out loud.
Yeah, I think it just depends what state you're in at this point.
Yeah, it does. Tennessee does not condone that at this time. But yeah, Tad's aquaponics system is
legit.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's nice about it is you don't have to build it because it's already built.
Yep. And it's professional grade. It's commercial grade, right? It's not some stuff that you have to build. It clamps together. It's very cool. Like you could put a dolphin in there if you just, I don't want fish. I don't eat fish. I'm going to put my dolphin in here.
Well, now you need to buy it and put a dolphin in it, John.
So we actually made a joke about getting a dolphin, and this was at the old shop years ago, and people lost their ever-loving minds over we were going to put a dolphin in a cage. Like they just lost their shit.
The things that people worry about, I don't get it.
If only they knew what the military did with dolphins, boy, would they fucking lose it.
I seen a comment there. I guess it's probably New Hampshire Homestead, or organizing chest freezers is terrible. Milk crates do work, and I use cardboard too. I cut out a piece of cardboard and slide it down. So what I'll do is I'll take a 90-degree piece of cardboard and I'll put it on the bottom before I put stuff on it, so you can't accidentally pull it up and out. And then, so when I get my new beef, it goes on one side with cardboard under it, and the old beef sits here, and then you pull it out as need. That's what's worked for me. It's not perfect, but it's worked pretty good.
Interesting. So I was talking to Nick Ferguson about this. I do have one chest freezer here for a specific reason, and then the rest are uprights. I'm with John. It's nice to be able to see what's in there. And what he's doing, you can buy RFID tags and put an app on your phone, and he's taking those like sort of cheap reusable grocery bags and putting things in it with an RFID tag so he can know what's in each bag.
That's cool.
Which I thought was pretty smart.
That is cool, yeah.
I looked at QR codes for even just storage, like garage storage, but I think the RFID tags would be even better.
Yeah.
How close do you have to get to that tag?
I have no idea. He told me about it, and I thought, that's like next level organization right there. I'm not ready for it, but I do like vertical columns in mine with cardboard like Tim or milk crates. That's exactly what I'm using in there. And that works for me fine. But I also do a freezer audit in that thing twice a year where I take everything out, defrost it, look at what's there, make sure there isn't like the steak in the bottom right-hand corner that needs to be used before it gets too old. So, which is why the walk-in has been under discussion, because that's a lot of time every year.
It'd be good. Yeah. That's how I picture the walk-in, right? We're going to use those rolling wire racking like those
yeah.
got. And we're just going to put everything in Rubbermaid containers. We're going to, chamber vacuum seal everything that's in there, put it in Rubbermaid containers, and then we can just visibly look around and see and know exactly where everything's at.
And I'll bet you the power consumption for something that large, if you figure it out compared to the same kind of cubic footage, I bet it's way better.
Yeah, I'll bet it is.
Yeah, we're looking at a movable internal wall to be able to, when I condense amount of stuff, condense the size of what we're cooling too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and just because we do enough events here, I would love a walk-in fridge too, but we'll see. I mean, like right now, my refrigerator is currently outside because it oozes water. That's its problem. And it's oozing water outside instead of into my hardwood floors, which are half ruined where it was. But that's now the event fridge until it dies. And it'll die this winter because it will freeze and it's probably not supposed to be out there, but is what it is. It's a 15-year-old fridge.
You said you keep a chest freezer for a specific, or is that for chilling birds down? Is that what you're using it for? Or?
The reason I have a chest freezer and a couple uprights is when the power goes out, it's easier to keep it cold.
Okay.
They stay cold better. So I will consolidate. So what happens is when they're all full, they're all full. That is what it is. But if the power looks like it's going to be out for a while, because I have different freezers are dedicated to different things, I will consolidate everything into the chest freezer first and then one upright if I can, rather than having all three. Cool. So I have three mostly for convenience. And one of them has a setting. It can be a refrigerator instead of a freezer when I want it to. But, you can open that chest freezer and it pretty much, heat rises, cold falls. It's also when you have a power outage and need to get in there, you're letting less out. If you open that vertical door, everything just falls out on the ground. You got to cool it again.
I didn't know those were a thing, the fridge freezer thing. I was at Lowe's or Home Depot in the States when I was down there. And I said, oh, this is pretty cool. Caught my eye because you just flick a switch or something and it.
Well, it's great because when we do birds, right, we fill that up with the birds, refrigerate them for 48 hours, and then we hit quick freeze.
Right.
And so they've rested. They've gone through rigor mortis. You go through all that, and then you freeze them, and it's already organized at that point. It did that with the pork, too. So here's a question. What do you consider too long in the freezer? What I consider too long in the freezer is probably not what other people consider too long. Is it freezer burnt, and did it go bad? If the answer is no, then it's fine.
Right. And if it's freezer burn, that doesn't mean it's going to harm you. It just means it's not bad. Your liking, right? And it really comes down to how you've chambered. Are you running a Walmart vacuum sealer or are you running a chamber vacuum sealer? And then if you really want to keep it in there, run a higher grade Mylar. I mean, you can get 3 mil, you can get 7 mil. You can do anything you want. I mean, it's money, right? That's really, but when you buy Mylar bags, like we buy Mylar bags from Uline and through Webstaurant, and we buy 1,000 at a time. So, I mean, we have at this point, we probably have a wall in a room full of different Mylar bags and stuff. And that chamber vacuum sealer, like that is probably the best investment we've made because we use it on every process, whether it's freeze drying or putting meat in the freezer or just doing, different candies, whatever it is, we use that thing and it'll do jars too. Yeah.
Uline, by the way, I just wanted to throw Uline is great. I use them a lot, even for us. Like I get a lot of our 5-gallon buckets and Gamma Seal lids and the big 5-gallon. Yeah. They have everything.
And I've only had one thing go bad in the freezer one time. And it was pork. It had been it was one of those things. It had been in there 5 years and it was in the back bottom corner and the fat went rancid. That's what happens. Ooh. So it will, and it wasn't from defrosting and refreezing. Eventually the fat goes rancid. Other than that, I've just eaten meat out of my fridge.
What happens?
I use most of mine within a year though. The majority of the time.
What happens if you had to eat that rancid meat?
It tastes bad.
But will it harm you in any way?
Probably not. I don't know. Probably not. I don't think anything is probably in that. It's going to take, it's kind of like when you freeze dry stuff that's high fat, the fats go rancid within about a year. I don't know that that's going to make you sick. It might make you gassy. So it probably depends. But I can't think of what else is happening there.
And all that stuff, all that can go to animals. So if it's to the point where we won't eat it, like we do a fridge clean out every week and everything goes to the animals.
Yeah.
Yes.
We always did. When we had chickens, we always did that for sure. And any of the meat goes to the dogs, even, you know, I know they're only little dogs, but they eat all, whether it tastes funny or strange, they'll eat it.
Yeah. Porterhouse says, I don't lose internet when we lose power. I do, because the router down the road does. So we have internet for 2 more hours after power goes out. If power's out more than 2 hours, their backup battery on that is done.
Do you know about a fridge freezer combo that is not running Freon any longer? Like some of the newer ones. I've got a client that has a Blue Yeti system like ours. He has a little smaller system, and he said that he, for 3 days, plugged his fridge freezer into this thing and ran his 24 hours a day, ran this thing off of his battery backup system, off his solar generator.
Really?
Wow. No.
So
now I want to know though.
Yeah. And he said that it's a new one and it doesn't have, I think he said it doesn't use Freon is what it was.
I like what Porterhouse is doing. I mean, he's basically using his solar generator as an uninterruptible power supply, which is great. Yeah. I just picked one up at Costco the other day. I went in, seen it. It was, I like the Cat brand stuff. I'm sure it's, you know, they just put their name on it, but I've had really good luck with 2 or 3 of their products. And it was a 200 watt battery powered kind of solar, whatever thing. I don't think it has solar with it, but it looks like one of those solar generators. And it has USB ports in it. It has for being able to jump your vehicle, and it has a compressor built into it. So it was like $160. I'm going to test that out and see how that holds up.
I think you could run the solar generator. You would have to have it on.
Yes.
But you could run the solar generator plugged into the wall. I mean, ours are sitting in there on 3 battery stacks. It's about this tall. And we have it plugged in, so it's constantly charged or trickle charging or whatever. But we could leave it on. I don't know if it'll time itself off after a certain amount. And then we could put whatever we needed to stay on so that if the power did go out, that would, and I don't know how feasible that is. There might be something in there that tells the unit, hey, but I would guess it's a computer. I mean, it literally is touchscreen, does all kinds of shit. I would guess there's some place in there that you could turn off that. If it's been on for 2 hours, it turns itself off or whatever.
Yeah, this EC says I run 12 volt fridges off Blue Yetis.
Got it.
So that's not bad. I don't have any 12 volt fridges here at this time. I sold them all or I traded them to somebody who was in an off-grid cabin, actually.
There's a guy that I watch, Silver Symbol, on YouTube, and he does a lot of generators and solar generators, I guess is what they're calling them. And I can't think of the name of the product he has right now, but they're basically battery packs on wheels. So they'll run as backup power, and you can daisy chain 2 of them together. And they now have a setup that will allow you to hook directly into like a pony panel. So it's actually working just like a generator, but it's battery packs that will give you your different circuits that you need in your house. So just the same way you would run a generator panel in there. It's
got it. So cool. Scott just commented there. That's the dude I'm talking about right there. And he said goal 0, Yeti 3000. Let it run for 2 days, perfect weather.
Nice.
So that battery backup system you're talking about, Tim, sounds cool. We have some bank vault battery systems that go in racks, and we use them to back up the camera systems so that even if the power goes out, we still have those, and they'll run, I don't know, a week off of those things, I think. Like we've got several, they're big battery systems.
I'm trying to find the name. EcoFlow. EcoFlow is the one that he uses.
Got it. So I was going to buy EcoFlow, and when I went to buy EcoFlow, there was a 90-day wait on it, and I had shot some videos. I just shot a couple options to Cody and a couple of the dudes, and the general consensus was that we were going to get more for the money out of Blue Yeti. And then at the time, I don't remember what holiday it was, but I think we got like 20% off of it also. So we bought We got the 3 battery system. It came with 3 solar panels, and when the solar panels are folded out, they're 8 feet long, and I've got 3 of those, and we can charge all 3 into one, or we can charge all 3 into the system. So we got the whole entire thing, and I can't honestly say that it's awesome because I haven't really tested it, but everything we've used it for, and I like the appeal of it that it's got the one unit that controls all the battery packs. But once the packs are charged, I can put a pack in each of the trucks and SUVs, and then we can USB-C, and we can do anything we need to do for GoPros and drones and any phones and tablets and laptops in each vehicle without having, or we can take all of it in one vehicle if we need to.
Red Flyer Media has a diesel generator.
That's cool. She has a lot of generators.
It's called a bus.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I've seen some of her generators.
Yeah. She doesn't mess around with not having internet and not having power. She has both.
Yeah.
So I had Ryan Buford on my show a little while ago. He has the Next Generation podcast on Prepper Broadcast Network. And I've had him on a couple times to talk about USB preparedness devices, because there's so much you can get right now that will plug in using USB.
Yeah.
And when we were at Prepper Camp, there was a lady there selling a water filter that was USB powered. And it was an ozonating filter. It was like $150, and it was the shape of a pen. And you could charge it using USB-C. But he has things like the arc lighters and these multi battery packs with all the different. Oh, it's cool. It's a whole setup. I can't do it justice, but he basically has his entire EDC carry and some extra stuff that all runs off of a single USB port, which I think is kind of important.
Yeah, and everything's moving C to C now.
Yes.
And when you get the right cubes, you can actually charge. I mean, they'll run 40. It'll limit out at the device with a smart cube, the smart charger. And then once you're running C to C off the smart charger, like some devices will charge at 60 volts, some will charge at 80, some will limit out at 20. You'll be surprised how fast your devices will charge with those correct charging units.
And don't be scared to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, don't be scared to buy more than you think you need, because
absolutely
they're all backwards compatible. So if you get the 100-watt charger, everything that's 80 and 70 and 40 or whatever, they'll all charge. But if you get a 40,
it's a 40.
Yes. And some of the cables are 3 volt and 5 volt. And make sure you get the 5 volt. There's really only 2 options there. So
what about resistance, right? If I can charge with a 3-foot cable, should I not use a 12-foot cable? Is the resistance a thing in that? Will it charge slower because of the extra length, or does it matter?
I don't know. In personal experience, I always found that longer cables tended to charge shorter, but tended to take slower. Thank you. But I don't know. I don't have any data to back that up for sure.
Something else I wondered, if I'm charging, like say GoPro batteries, for instance, I've got some charging units that take 2 batteries and some that take 3. It'll run with 1, it'll run with 2 or 3. When I'm running 3 batteries, am I just splitting the voltage or the current into 3 separate batteries, or will it charge 1 battery faster than charging 3 batteries? Does it slow it down?
Depends on your charger. So the DeWalt, for instance, I know about my DeWalts, of course, but I have the 4-port rapid charger. That pushes full flow to all 4 batteries. So you get the same rate for all 4. Now, I also have 4 rechargeable 9-volt batteries. Can't remember the brand right now, but that charger splits it. So if you put 1 battery in, you get 4 times the charge. If you put 4 in, it takes 4 times as long. So depending on the charger, just read in the documentation. Some of the my AA chargers that I have, and I can't remember the name, I'm sorry guys, that I use for all my Eneloop batteries, they'll split they'll give the same amount of charge to every battery. So if you put 1 in, it charges just as fast if I have 8 in the full thing. So
Eneloops was Sanyo or Samsung, but they're not what they used to be. A lot of people say. I just bought some pale blue earth batteries. And they do a family pack. You can buy just whatever, you can hodgepodge buy whatever you want, but they're USB chargeable. And their USB charger, they've got a C to C and they've got A to C, and it does 4 batteries. So you plug it into your A port and it's got a little octopus, so it'll charge 4 batteries. And they've got 9-volt, and they've got Ds and Cs and As and AAAs. They've got everything. So they get really good reviews. I've got a box of them sitting over here. We haven't put them in anything and just left it on to really test it. But at this point, there's so many reviews on them. They seem like they're a good product.
I've got probably 8 different brands of rechargeables, brand new in the package, that I plan on at some point doing head-to-head with a bunch, because I think Eneloop has just been our go-to in the prepper sphere for so long that my fear is that some of the other companies have caught up or passed. And here's the other thing. Eneloop are really, really expensive. So if I can get something for half the price that lasts two-thirds as long, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, it's the cost to payoff ratio there, right?
Oh, I like that.
So these charge in here, and they've got micro, and they've got USB-C.
Oh, nice.
So you can use either. And I bought a family pack just to mess with, and it came with tons of stuff.
What did you say the name was, John?
It's called Pale Blue, and they got me off of targeted marketing on Instagram. Like they snagged me right there. And I just kept looking at it, and they kept showing it to me over.
Reeling him in.
They did, man. They always get me that way.
That's how you get people with your gummy bears, right?
Oh, man.
Maybe.
So good.
You guys good if I hop over for a quick second? I'll be right back.
Yeah, do what you need to do.
Okay.
Your gummy bears are like anti-keto crack.
Yep.
It's a good thing they're there, though, because I'm not there all the time, so it's not as tempting. I'm not going to buy a pallet to be delivered to the hauler.
Right. Like if they're packaging them up, I'll be like, give me a couple of them gummy bears. But if I open a package, I'll eat it. So I don't ever
the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't ever open a package of those.
I'm that way with potato chips. It's like that's one of my big weaknesses. And so if I'm going to have potato chips, I have to buy the small bag at the gas station because I will eat the whole bag or I will eat the whole bag. It doesn't matter.
Will pork rinds not satisfy that for you?
No, I don't like them as well. I mean, I like the pork rinds. There's some pork rinds that are made somewhere between you and David, who lives near you, AutoFab.
Uh-huh. They're
made from scratch there. And then they put like barbecue flavoring on them. Those will totally satisfy it. But yeah, otherwise, like the Sam's Club pork rinds are just meh.
I don't remember where we were. We were at like a little sports bar, and they brought out pork skins that they actually cooked right there. So when they brought them to the table for like 30 minutes, they're still popping like Pop Rocks.
Oh, yum.
Man, those are so different than any pork rind you're ever going to get out of a bag.
Yeah, I use the pork rinds just as salsa conveyance devices or guacamole or something like that, but anymore I just don't.
What was that word you just said?
Guacamole.
Guacamole.
Moly.
I'm not going to argue on this one.
Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going out to Mexican food and I'm going to eat
tomorrow. So is the Food Forest thing this weekend?
No, it's the next weekend because I scheduled my birthday party for that weekend.
And you're 41?
I'm totally 41. Yeah.
41.
Right on. I'm going to have myself a like corn chips and salsa and guacamole, whatever I want. And then the margarita, one margarita.
Are you going to have flan with it?
Maybe. I don't think they make flan there.
But ice cream?
Yeah.
What is
something
flan?
like that.
I don't know flan.
Oh, flan's like a baked custard. It's delicious.
Kind of creme brulee.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as creme brulee, but it's like that.
Yeah, flan doesn't have the caramelized sugar topping, I don't think.
So I woke up the other day and had a couple text messages from my wife. She must have been up later than me. And she sent me some Zillow ads for some land in where you are, John.
No, I want Tim here.
No, I know we are, but she just happened to see it and it was a reasonable price. And so she sent it to me to Camden.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, no, we didn't. Not yet. We're still looking, but.
So what is the price per acre, or is there a house on it, or?
No, it was just land. I want to say it was 3 acres for around 20,000, maybe. Might have been a little high. I don't know. It's a little more than we're ready to pay right this second, but yeah, we're definitely looking in Nicole's area. No offense to John, of course. We just
No, you know what? I am looking in John's area to have Holler West.
Nice.
The Holler Compound West, because we go out there so much. I spend, $1,000 or so every time we stay out there, and I might as well put that into something.
I didn't mind. I mean, yeah, Camden was what Camden was. I didn't hate it. It wasn't bad. It had rough areas and it had nice areas, and but I enjoyed it.
By rough, like as in
messy looking.
Yeah, like, we have no codes or zoning in a lot of parts, right? So you can have a $5 million home, and then a trailer park with, looks like a used car lot or a auto dismantling yard. But I mean, the beauty of that is, if you don't want to live next to that guy, don't build your fucking house next to him.
Exactly. It reminded me so much, all that area. I did quite a bit of driving because we were out to the range a few times. And then I went and visited Brian and Corey on there where they were. They were about 20 minutes out of town. And the roads just remind me of where I grew up, just twisty and turny, and the trees and
narrow.
Yeah. Definitely narrow. There's literally no fucking shoulder, but that's another story.
I was in Vermont, and my uncle's like, this reminds me so much of Tennessee. I'm like, yeah, except for the roads are wider in Vermont. Like, you can pass each other on these roads. But they have to be, because those people slide all over the road because of the ice, I assume, up there in Vermont.
Oh, definitely.
I saw Scott mention in Nightcore. I see STX says Surefire makes a rechargeable setup for 123 off USB. They do. And when you can buy them from a lot of the LA police gear or all these gun companies. Cody bought a bunch of those Surefire USB rechargeable batteries. First he bought 2, and they sent 2 123 batteries in a box big enough to put probably 15
like Amazon
baseball bats in. So yeah, we have some of those. We're aware of them, definitely, and they work well.
John Witherspoon has a 5.3 acre lot, Tim. You can be right in the middle.
That'd be a good place to be, actually.
Yep.
We're down. It's going to happen. I mean, honestly, we're putting our due diligence in, but I would say within 2 years, we're going to own some piece of dirt down there for sure.
Something somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. How does that work as far as residency here, though? Because you are not a U.S. citizen. Do you have to get out for 6 months a year? Or?
Yeah. So it will be a vacation property, of course, right? I mean, officially. And I'm allowed any year, 6 months, half a year minus a day is what I can be down.
Okay.
There. So, and that's a long time. It's not a full year, but if something ever happened and things got really fucking messed up, well, then it would just become a permanent vacation or something. I don't know, right? I mean,
clearly the United States does not care about selling U.S. property. I mean, China owns a ton of U.S. military base property and stuff now.
Yes. And it's kind of the same up here, but we can easily buy property in the States. There's no restrictions on that. The only restrictions are how long we can live there or stay there uninterrupted. And we could stay longer, but then we'd end up, it creates a whole lot of headaches for you on the
what is the deal with Canada and the US as far as green card or extra time or any of that? Is that as complicated as if you were coming from Europe?
I'll be right back.
Yeah. So it is it's basically impossible. So for me to just go down and say I want to become a citizen is almost impossible,
right?
If I just want to become a citizen. But if I want to come down and work for a green card, I can do that. That's pretty easy for the most part, as long as you find somebody that'll say, hey, we need you to come work.
Sponsor you.
But if you are down there as a green card for working, you can't pursue citizenship while you're there. It's an either or situation. So, you can get landed immigrant as a worker for, X amount of time and continue to get extended, but you can't pursue citizenship while you're there. And if you want to pursue citizenship, you can't have a green card to work. And so it's tough. There's no easy way around it.
Yeah. I had a friend who was married to a man for 20 years from another country. They lived here for most of that time. And when he went to get citizenship, it was really difficult anyway. And it's
Right.
like literally they fell in love, had 2 children in this country, and becoming a citizen after being here 20 years and working and paying taxes was hard.
Like, and I'm okay with 6 months of the year. You know what I mean? For the next
Yeah.
10 or 15 years. And it's, you know, we all talk about bug out locations and having a plan B, and that is definitely what it is for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if that's all it ever is, I'm cool with that too. But it's definitely a plan B. And would I love to live down there full time? I think I would. I know I would. But, you know, I'm cool with 6 months for the time being. So we're building our life to that point. Sorry.
Yeah. Have you kept up with any of the live streams that John and I do with Jack Spirko?
Not like no.
Okay, so I'm going to hit you with a Chinese fortune.
Okay.
Because I got one that I think will fit. This one comes from Don. Life is about making some things happen, not waiting for something to happen. What do you think of that?
Oh, 100%. You got to get out there and fucking make things happen. If you don't, if you sit around and wait for something to come your way, I mean, I guess you could be out walking down the road and see a lottery ticket blow by and bend over, pick it up, and win the lottery. But yeah, you can't listen to me for very long without realizing that you need to get out there and do shit. Because if you don't, yeah, you got a 50-50 chance of good or bad happening to you. But you make your own good luck every single time.
So Red Media Flyer says if you came illegally, they'd give you 40 grand and a phone. No shit.
Yeah, I know.
And then the Ellender said that they bought some farm property here in the United States and they're in Australia. Fucking awesome for you. That is great, man. That is great.
We have
and they have dual citizenship.
Got it.
So their 6-month line is they get weird tax status.
Ours is more the social benefits, things like, socialized health care, and then losing out on your retirement benefits, things like that they'll start nipping real quick.
Yep.
We had a lady at prepper camp in North Carolina that flew all the way from Australia. I was really excited. I figured I'd be the furthest one that traveled, and she showed up. I'm like, well, good for you. I'm proud of you.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. Okay, Tim, I promised in the promotion for this show.
Oh, dog poop.
Dog poop.
Yes.
So can we talk about dog poop for a little bit? How do you take dog poop and turn that into making a living on your own and working for yourself?
Yes. Well, you start if you don't have a pooper scooper, you start with a rake and a shovel, because almost everybody has a rake and a shovel. You start with a rake and a shovel and a garbage can and maybe a garbage bag. So everybody, you probably have it. And if you don't, go to your local big box store and buy one of those clamshell pooper scoopers for $20. So if you can skip one meal at Sonic, you can go and get a pooper scooper. I say that because I ate at Sonic a couple times while I was in Camden, and but anyway, it's another story for another day. But yeah, so go buy yourself a pooper scooper. Nobody likes picking up dog shit. Nobody. But there's nothing wrong with it. And we haven't done it. We didn't do any this year because we have just kind of graduated into property management, which has been great. But for the years I did it, you just put headphones in, listen to an audiobook so you can learn while you're doing it, listen to podcasts. It would, most average lawns, no matter how big the poop was, you could get it done in under an hour. And I could easily charge $100 to go in and do it. If it was, I always joke, it's like excavating dinosaur fossils. So, as the snow melts and the ice melts, everything keeps coming down, and all of a sudden you have everything there at the end, right? So you just go scoop it up, and I would charge an upcharge if they wanted me to haul it away. So if it went into their garbage bin in garbage bags, I charged $100. If I had to take it away, maybe an extra $25 to run it to the dump. And you just advertise online. And I'm telling you, for us, it was always just a spring thing because people didn't want to clean up the massive amounts of shit that was there when the snow melted. Other people will do a spring cleanup and then do a weekly or monthly cleanup as well. You can tie it into your lawn mowing. 2 reasons. If you're going to, 2 reasons. Number 1, it's ongoing income. But number 2, you don't want to be running over that shit with your mower. So if somebody can pay you, literally. So if they'll pay you to come and clean up the dog poo to start with, and then mow their lawn as well, then you've got added services.
And some of the dog poop places will actually cut out a square in the lawn somewhere or in the dirt and put a box in there. and then they dump that dog shit in that hole, and then it composts or breaks down and goes back into the earth there. I've seen some of that too.
So I'm hearing two ways to make money. One, if you live in a place where it snows and the dogs go outside and poop, and then snows on top of the poop, and then the dog poops more, and then it snows on top, what you have is like almost like a glacier filled with turds. And then in the spring it melts and you have a big old pile of yuck. And people will pay good money for that to be cleaned up.
Very good money.
Very good money, because they don't want to deal with it. But you could also do a weekly poop subscription.
Yep.
And then tag on mowing, and you're bolting on stuff.
And I would start a YouTube channel with that. I would immediately, when you start that service, whoever's talking about that, start a YouTube channel at the same time and just show that every single day, or build a compilation through the week, man, because it won't be. I have some friends that have very large companies now, and they started with very small companies just 5 years ago, and they've literally flipped multi companies right now. He's got one for sale that he just sold for $7 million. He doesn't do any of the little stuff anymore because he has so much money that his money is allowing him to do bigger things. You won't be doing that very long.
No. Here we are. I think we decided last night that lawn mowing might be going by the wayside for us, because it's taking up too much time. And it sounds awful. It's taking up too much time and bringing in too little income. So, the daycare alone that we took all of our money and invested in has returned huge dividends for us. So that's huge. Property management is huge, and the snow removal is huge. And my social media, or my content creation, is really, really good right now. And it's going to be, it'll be enough to pay all the bills by next December. That's the plan. So we just keep growing, and there's room for somebody in my town to come in and say, hey, I want to start exactly what Tim started 5 years ago.
You could even sell it to them.
Yes. And that is probably what we're going to attempt to do, for sure.
Yeah. Sell it to them with the customer. I mean, everything.
Becky sent me. Oh, go ahead.
That's the thing that I think people see successful business people, and they ask, how do I end up like you? And the answer is start by picking up dog poop, show up when you say you're going to, charge money, upsell them on other services, always be where you're going to say you're going to be, or call them if you're not showing up and tell them when you're going to be there. And if you do that, for how many years have you been doing that, Tim?
5. Going on 6 now.
Okay, so 6 years. Like, when I first got to know Tim, he did not have a YouTube channel, and he was putting pictures of himself hanging off the side of the house cleaning gutters, which he calls some other weird Canadian word.
Eaves
trough. And that was a good look on your face, John.
We're fucking weird, man. I know.
But he was like, I'm cleaning gutters today. I work for myself. I'm so happy. And, most people wouldn't say cleaning a gutter makes them happy. But because he put that out there to the world, people saw that he cleans gutters. People hired him to clean more gutters. While he was there, he looked around and said, hey, that garbage in the corner, I can take that to the dump for you for this additional charge. And now look where he is. He's at the point where he's apologizing to us because mowing lawns doesn't make him enough money. Because he's Canadian, so he has to apologize about everything.
And I got to say, this has been a transition year for me. And it's been tough because I was used to doing all the little stuff. Everybody would call, can you come do this little thing? And I won't lie, I have struggled with that showing up thing this year because there's been so much big going on. And so that's why I need to give some things up. And I know people will say, hey, just sub it out. I don't want to sub it out because the employees are a pain in the nuts, right?
Because when they don't show up, guess who has to mow the lawn?
Right. And guess who gets the phone calls, and guess who has to still have the insurance. And so I'm cool with moving into some of these other things. And I don't want people to think, holy shit, well, he's a big feeling or whatever. No, this started. I literally told a story earlier today about how I was worried that when the power would go out, maybe our power got shut off. And that wasn't that many years ago. So it happens. And it all started from dog shit, gutters, a $3 snow shovel I got at a yard sale.
Yep.
Oh, and Brian asked about the contraption that I made. So one day I had a lady call me and she said, can you remove a hornet's nest? It's way up in my eaves. And
I love that story.
I said yes. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I said yes. So then I went on to the Survival Podcast Facebook forum at the time. And I said, hey guys, I need to do this. What are we going to build? So we crowdsourced this idea of a shop vac with water and soap in it, just a little bit. And then I took a 12-foot piece of ABS pipe and I attached it to the hose. And so I could stand back. So we wet it was a 2-person job. One person stood there with a garden hose and sprayed the hornet's nest as I had that 12-foot piece of ABS pipe up there sucking the hornet's nest down. Completely destroyed it and decimated it in like 30 seconds. $100 and I was done. So we'd show up for 10 minutes at dusk, get rid of the nest, $100, you're done.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. And
then you documented the whole thing.
Yes. And it was fun. It made good content.
That it did. I don't know. It's just, because you're the side hustle guy now, right?
Yeah. So, okay, this was pretty fucking cool, I got to say. After I spoke at Self-Reliance Festival, for about 3 hours after I spoke, people come up and I give everybody as much time as I could. That's why you go. I go to those events to be available to anybody who wants to pick your brain. And I lost track, but it had to have been 24 to 30 people who come up to me and said, I started something special because of what you did. And I'm like, yeah, it is, it's humbling. It's pretty friggin' cool. And it's not that hard, guys. It's simple anyway. You just have to keep doing it.
Once you show like the YouTube channel, right? So if you're going to start that YouTube channel, your stuff doesn't all have to work.
No.
Only some of it has to work. If you can show that 50% of your shit works, people will join a mastermind, right? So that mastermind can be $100 a month. It can be $1,000 a month. There's dudes charging $1,000 a week. It's just how much access they actually have, right? So how many people are buying lottery tickets that have never won the damn lottery, but your shit works half of the time? So if all they got to do is pick 4 of those ideas and 2 of them are most likely going to work. So to have access to something you can show. And you said a minute ago, I don't want anybody to think I'm bragging or whatever. No, fuck those people.
You're right.
Like when you do what you want with your money that you earned, because that is the proof, right? That shows what your capability is. Like, don't ever apologize for that anymore. If you lose a couple, let them go.
I mean, look, I just went and spent 18 days between fucking North Carolina and Self-Reliance Festival and never once had to worry about where the money was going to come from. I stay in hotels. I could eat out wherever I wanted to because of what Becky and I have done for the last 5 fucking years. So if you need something to point out,
also what you haven't done for this.
That's an important point that John makes, like what you haven't.
Yeah, because I used to catch shit all the time. Every morning at 1, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, I would leave my shop, right? I got there at 7. I would leave at 1 a.m. and I'd show a picture of a steering wheel and a watch. And nobody said shit for 3 years until the watch got a little more expensive.
Right.
And the steering wheel changed and they crawled out of the fucking woodwork.
Must be nice. Or wow, everything just blew up for you. That was what I got.
Like, it is really nice. It is. Yeah. It is. And what you didn't see is I slept on a fucking old mattress. I don't even know where it came. We got it out of the alley. I slept on a mattress for fucking 6 months in the shop, right? What you didn't see is when I pulled up to the shop the first time, I didn't have gas to leave. I never left the property for 30 days, right? I traded Marines MREs that they were bringing in out of the field for gear. And every couple of weeks I would have enough money. Once I got the rent covered, I could go buy a burrito from the taco shop up the street, right? They don't ever see that shit. They only show up when they're mad about your fucking success. Like, fuck those people.
My first job, I was just thinking about this. One of my first big jobs we did was a computer shop down here. And out front, they have about 80 feet of decorative gravel. And it had sunk in over the years. So, it wasn't there. And so they got a price of like, I tell this story and the numbers probably change, but the concept is right because I can't fucking remember now. But
right, it's been a while.
It was around $2,000 to have new gravel brought in. I underpriced it for like $550
for the labor.
Me and my daughter went in on a Saturday. We dug every bit of that out by hand with a shovel. I had a wheelbarrow that I got from the dump because it was still in good shape. I went and got a $10 tube that I put in it. And I built a filter screen out of hardware cloth and rough boards that I had on hand already. And we did that in one full day, made $550, killed ourselves doing it. but it was all scavenged materials that I used. You know, the little piles, when I go by, there's little piles where I dump like the filtered shit, you know, they're still sitting there. I love them being there because it's a reminder of every time I go by, I'm like, yeah, fuck, we did that. You know, 6 years later, almost, it still looks good.
I don't think I know anybody who has started a business where I've asked, you know, when was a time when you underbid something and you had to do way more work than you thought, doesn't have a story about that time when they just grossly underestimated how much would go into something. And people are so afraid of doing that. But when you do that, A, you don't ever underestimate that thing again. And B, like, you just got to get the work done. You know, like, okay, here I am. What do I do? Do I go ask for more money? No, because then I'll never have this customer ever again. So I'm just going to have to use my time to get over the hump. And that is what it is. We've all done it.
And it's usually we ourselves who hold us back, right? When I started my company, I started building products similar to a couple of other companies. But because I was the new guy, I felt like my product had to cost less. My product was much better, way better. But
yeah.
I didn't have the name, right? So it was really Jack where that changed, right? He said, if you're comfortable with the price you're charging, you're probably not charging enough. So I took that, and then Andy Frisella said, you know, never put your products on sale. Don't ever put anything on sale. You can always add value, you can upsell, but never, because you're just conditioning your customers to wait for a sale. And it just says that maybe you don't believe in your product because you're putting them on sale. So with that, we're the most expensive guys. When we come out with a product, we figure out what it should cost, and then we double that price. And we might come down, but we haven't come down in 3 years on anything, like ever. And we just do that because we don't believe in ourselves or our product enough. You have to decide whether you want to deal with I need this thing done. I'm looking for the good deal. I'm never fucking calling that guy. I'm also never calling him back because I have enough people to buy my product that are willing to pay whatever it costs to get it as fast as they can for whatever we're asking for. Because for every one of those guys, there's this other group of people also. We just have to decide which group of people we're going to deal with. Do you want to do maintenance on a mobile home with a bunch of broke down cars, or do you want to do maintenance on the dude with the $1 million home?
That took me a while to learn. So this is, well, whatever. Anyway, I had this discussion with a fellow entrepreneur here in town yesterday. And when I first started, I really focused on senior citizens, and they are an underserved market, but they are not a market where you're going to have a lot of success in business. Let's put it that way. They'll get you, but they just don't have a lot of money to spend on it. But what they do have is a lot of time to sit around and complain about things. So I've just got to be honest here. And so I very quickly moved away from senior citizens because of those two reasons. If you, like you said, John, you want to work for the guy that wants to go sit at the lake and drink a beer and pay you to do all his work for you and not once complain about the price.
The guy with the $100,000 bass boat.
Exactly. Because of all the complaints I've ever got, they've never come from people who don't hurt for money. So I don't know. It is, and it's not a judgmental thing. It's just a true thing. And if you want less headaches, just find the right type of customer.
Well, I look at it this way. If somebody wants to do business with somebody else, me, John, Tim, whoever, and you're mad because we end up being successful, you don't want me to be successful, I won't be here next year for you.
Right.
Like, the reason I'm able to keep going is by earning money. And that means I make a profit from the people who do business with me. And I'm okay with them making a profit from me too when I do business with them. Like,
yes,
you should want that for people, not mad because, Tim can look for property in the U.S. and maybe spend 6 months here. I think it'll be great to have Tim in our Tennessee community, personally.
Do you know what I spent to buy a wallet from SOE?
No.
Because I wanted to. Way too much. And that's okay. Because by the time I knew I was going to pay fucking Canadian shipping and goddamn whatever, $20 or $30, it was way over $100 to get here. I never felt bad because I knew I was supporting somebody who supported me and a guy I like. And I believe in his products. So,
and I bet it hasn't fallen apart yet.
No. It's crazy.
When we send you a box of shirts, do they have to come through customs?
This one didn't. So Good. It's, yeah. If you write gift or something on it, you'll probably be okay, because they are a gift. It's not, or well, anyway. So
Right.
yeah. But yeah, no, yeah. So no, they didn't. Thank goodness.
Right.
But even if they did, that I would never complain about that. But when I bought that wallet, I knew, because do you remember what your bifold wallet retails for American, John?
65 maybe.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So after exchange rate, after shipping, after everything, it was probably $130 I paid for that wallet.
I actually build every one of those. Every bifold wallet that has come out of this building, I sit down in the evening sometime and build them.
That's cool. You did on TikTok the other night. Were you doing wallets then?
Probably.
Probably. Was that one of your first TikTok lives, or do you do live on TikTok?
I think I've done two.
Okay.
I think I've done two. And if I don't fuck with the phone, I don't actually see the comments. So I just turned it on. And what that video is more about than what I'm building, it's that on a Friday night or a Saturday night at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, I'm here working.
Right.
That's the difference.
There was a guy at Prepper Camp. His name is Jester. His podcast is It's Doomsday Podcast. He set up a live podcasting studio there. It was really cool. I got a neat tip from him. So if you're streaming using StreamYard, we're at all the places.
Yeah.
Well, StreamYard doesn't work on Instagram and it doesn't work on TikTok. So what he does is he takes his phone, he sets it right here, streams to TikTok with his phone, so people get a different view, kind of a behind the scenes view, but his content's going out there as well. Just another way to use the same content in different ways. It was pretty cool.
That is cool. That is cool. And we can use StreamYard from mobile device?
Absolutely. Ish, yeah.
Yeah, the issue with StreamYard and mobile devices is if you are trying to use a different mic than your built-in phone mic, it gets very weird. So don't.
Okay.
I'm talking from Android, and then sometimes it just doesn't work. So like when I have live stream tech issues, it's almost always because somebody's on a cell phone instead of a computer. I think Red Flyer Media, she has shown me a different streaming platform I'm going to be playing with, which I just haven't done yet, that may address some of that issue. It's a little bit more expensive, but not much more. And she loves it. So,
I think I think the highest level package you get is $400 a month, I think, on that other one.
Yeah.
And then it's everything.
Yeah. And I don't even need that. Right. So if it's more stable than StreamYard, I'm not like committed to StreamYard.
Right. And even if it is $400 a month to be able to stream to a couple of other platforms, how many customers do you need to catch out of that to cover that $400 a month? Totally doable.
Is it one of those programs that will restream to places like TikTok and Instagram?
Well, that's a good. I don't know if this one does to TikTok. If she's still on the stream, she may pipe in just because I haven't played with it. But we'll find out.
I'm never beholden to a platform. StreamYard works great. I have a good system with it.
Yeah,
I pay for the professional package. It's worth every penny. But if there's a better option out there that won't take me 6 years to learn, I'm willing to do it.
Come on, man. You didn't even have a TikTok like a month ago, and you're already blowing us all away. I was literally talking about your TikTok with Cody 2 hours ago before we got on this live stream. He just bought a laser, and he's starting to do some laser engraving and stuff. And he's like, I think I'm going to do a TikTok. And I said, check out Toolman Tim's TikTok. Yep. And just if you have questions, talk, because he's already surpassed what we're doing.
So here's the thing. So I did the day when we had that conversation. I think it was around May. So we're 4 months now or 5 months, whatever it was. So I'm almost at 6,000 followers on TikTok. The exact same day that I launched that, I also launched a YouTube Shorts separate channel. Haven't promoted it, zero promotion. And I have been uploading the exact same content, same title, same everything to both places. I checked that this morning. My YouTube channel has 109 subscribers. TikTok has almost 6,000. TikTok is growing really, really quick. And
why are you not putting your shorts just on your normal channel? Why did you start?
Yes. So there's a couple of reasons. The biggest one that I found, I did that at Christmas time last year, and it wreaked havoc with my, what's the word for it? Your stats and everything. It just threw everything. All of a sudden, I wasn't getting any eyeballs to any of my regular videos. And it took about 4 months to get that to clear up. Some of the bigger content guys I've watched tried the same thing, had the same problem. So they launched separate shorts channels.
Everybody has told me to do that if you're going to go shorts.
Now shorts are great, and I'm so thankful you kicked my ass and said to do TikTok, because that has doubled my website traffic. And
so
of course,
shorts on YouTube right now is where it's at. Like, you have to be doing shorts on YouTube. We have not set up another channel, and for some reason our shit is working. Like, everything's coming out fully because I haven't said anything crazy in the last 90 days, probably.
Oh, come on. You can do better than that, John.
I really think it's because I quote Madison Hawthorne, what he said about tyrant politicians. And I would say that rather frequently. And I think that might have been part of the demonetization. But I mean, knock on wood, I'm standing here on a wooden table here. But it's working. But I mean, we don't make anything off YouTube, but you know, it's the YouTube is just that we can have a great conversation about anything they want to talk about. And while I'm doing it, I'm walking around with an iPod showing gear. And when I get offline, most of that gear I have shown just in that hour right there has sold out. It's just gone. It's
like you, Nicole, you started your podcast, and really your podcast has been a vessel for a long time for Hollow Roast, right? You know, it's growing now, but depending on what you're doing with your content, it's either to be monetized or it's to funnel to another monetization. Yeah. And it works. But I have been leaning toward trying some more shorts on my main channel as well, just to see some of the more. I've had some real good luck recently with hotel locks, you know, them like the ones that'll slide in the door. I just tested 3 more when I went away for a couple of nights, and those videos blew up on all the platforms. And so I put some new ones. Yeah.
And they didn't work.
No, the one that blew up didn't work at all. I friggin' bent it in half in my YouTube channel just to show it. But I went and got the actual brand name that somebody in TikTok recommended, and spoiler alert, it worked a lot better.
Mike Paulus, you're an asshole. He said Madison Hawthorne always skips leg day. He's in a wheelchair. He would laugh. John Lovell said it. That's where that actually came from. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're coming around on 2 hours, guys, aren't we? How did that happen?
Every time.
Every time. Okay. Sometimes it goes 3, but I think we're not getting a lot of questions from the comments. So why don't we just go once around the horn and say what you want to say, and we'll wrap.
So I do a live video around 9:00 most nights on YouTube. We can discuss literally anything you want to talk about. We walk around and show product. We can talk about anything. So just jump on there if you're interested in any of the conversations. We do a different t-shirt every week. They go up typically on Monday if you're on my text app. Almost everything we make sells out on text, so make sure you get on text and email. Other than that, I'm on almost every platform. The videos I do on Instagram and TikTok are a little different than the videos that we actually put up on YouTube. So, and it's actually me. If you see somebody comment off of any of my platforms, that's always me. So if you want to discuss, talk, you need to get a hold of us. That's where you do it.
So I got to throw in one more quick thing here. I took John's advice again because, anyway. So I launched my Patch of the Month Club, which is, I got 3 new subscribers in the last 24 hours. Woo! I'm doing awesome with it. It's really good. But what I added to it was anybody in the Patch of the Month Club is added to a super secret email list. Not really super secret, but they get first dibs on any product I release, and I give them a slight discount. So I did it with my silver. I launched my silver at Self-Reliance Festival, and I think I sold 6 or 7 to people who are in the Patch of the Month Club as well, simply because they were on that list and I give them the offer. And that came from you, John. So thank you. But yeah.
Who is striking your silver, or are you pouring it, or what are you doing?
So Ryan,
I don't need to. I mean, you don't have to put it out there, but
he's good. No, I want to. I want everybody to get, because he's an up and coming guy on Instagram, and if you want to steal my ideas, go for it. I love it. Not you, but I mean people, go for it. Because so Brian from the Lots Project got me started with the guy. We went halves on a 100-ounce silver bar. He turned them into 1 ounce and half-ounce coins with our logos on them. We sold them as so 1 ounce and a half-ounce for $75 US, and they sold out within 2 days. Cool. And so we're doing a second run of them, but I'm trying. Yeah.
So it's usually cheaper to buy shot than bars.
Right.
And I can put you on with some guys if you need that.
Sure.
And then check out Mutiny Metals. Just look at what he's doing. Super cool dude. A little different than what you guys are doing. But check that out. But if you need shot and if you need suppliers for patches, we should also talk.
We will. And so Joshua said I don't need to discount. He is right. But I wanted, at least to start, I wanted something that I could give to the people who were supporting me. And I know first access is probably enough, but it was $10. So I wanted to give them that. And I'm going to try to, I want there to be more. I want them to get more value out of being subscribed to the Patch of the Month Club than it costs them every month. That's why I throw silver stickers in whenever I send my patches out too. So, but
call them. Just pick the phone up. Hey, thank you for your order.
Yes.
Like even put a live on and just, hey, thank you for your order. Every time we do that, the orders pour through. We typically do it on Thanksgiving. We do it on Christmas Eve, and we'll just call and be like, hey, thank you for your last order. And we'll just have a conversation for a couple of minutes. And you'll be amazed just what call or a handwritten, just a 3-sentence note. Hey, Bob, thank you for your 17th order. I hope you never need this tourniquet. I hope you love the cock, right? Because the combat cock. Like, so use their name, recognize something, put something serious, and then put something funny.
Cool. I did write hand-lettered. I've sent a hand-lettered note to just about everybody who signed up. So I will. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. And
yeah. If somebody wants to join your Patch of the Month Club, how do they do that, Tim?
So the king of URL, patchofthemonth.co. I love .co because they seem to be available and people remember them. But so it's $10 a month or $100 a year. And you get, look, I even happen to have one. This was my very first one right here. It's designed after the Y2K sticker they put on computers. Don't forget to turn the computer on. Yeah. And it says, been prepping since Y2K. I designed this one myself. Eventually, I'm going to outsource them. But they'll be my ideas. So they're politically incorrect, humorous, or prepping related. The third one, the 100 that I just pre-ordered are coming. They should be here in a few days, and they'll be shipped out 1st of November. And I also do take crypto, Lightning or Bitcoin. I've started with, and I've picked up a couple customers that way. But patchofthemonth.co.
Cool. Patchofthemonth.co. All right, guys. I do an audio podcast, livingfreeintennessee.com. And of course, if you want to get awesome coffee, it's at hollowroast.com. You can get it there. And we will see you all next week on the live stream.